I welcome you all to the webinar titled Teacher is the Sun in the Galaxy of Learning, Energizing Secrets. My name is Khyati Sampat, faculty from Home Science University of Mumbai. I'm your hostess for today, representing Academisthan. At the outset, I'd like to welcome all dignitaries, our chief guest, Honorable Professor Suhas Pednekar Sir, Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, our guest speaker, Dr. Harish Shetty Sir, well-acclaimed psychiatrist, Shri Deepak Kumar Mukadam Sir, founder Academisthan. My dear teacher colleagues, thank you for joining from different parts of the country on this Saturday afternoon. I now take immense privilege to introduce Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Suhas Pednekar Sir. Sir has been serving as the Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai since April 2018. He has published several papers and articles at national and international levels. Sir also has a postdoctoral fellowship from Stevens Institute of Technology, New Jersey. Sir has been a member of the Task Force Committee Government of Maharashtra for the new National Education Policy 2020. Sir also has won several Best Teacher Awards in the recent past, has served as the principal of Ramnarayan Ruya College, Matunga, Mumbai. He also has been the acting Vice Chancellor for a few universities. He sent us a very brief profile, but his profile is certainly not brief in nature. Sir, it is my honor and delight to welcome you. I kindly request you to please address the participants.
Very good. Good afternoon. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for a nice introduction, Mr. Sampath. Dr. Harish Shetty, whom I know for many years, my colleague Deepak Mukadamji, who is the founder of Academisthan, all my other teacher colleagues, participants, and dear students. Let me first congratulate Deepakji and his team to take initiative to organize this particular seminar on the topic, which is so relevant and so needed, I would say. We all are going through a situation which probably has occurred first time in the world, where nearly 2 years we are facing the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And probably, as I said, first time that is the whole world is going through the same situation. And every sector got affected because of this. But I feel the one which is badly affected and completely disrupted is the education sector, education field, right from school, colleges to universities. The other sectors, you must have seen the consequences and the impact immediately. But this is the sector, and this is the field where you may not see the consequences or the outcome immediately, but maybe after a few years. And that is something which is worrisome, in fact. And we all have realized the limitations we were going through as educationists, as Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
I think, was I on mute? I don't know.
No, we could hear you, sir.
Okay. So I always say that we human beings on this planet, we're considering ourselves as the super living organism on this planet. But one tiny virus has taught us so many lessons and make us realize that how you need to respect everyone and every even living organism around us with the same respect. And that is where in the last 2 years, as I said, the situation we are going through, we were not prepared. No doubt in school, colleges, universities, we adopted online teaching, online examinations, everything. And in the process, I may say that the technology which we never thought of that we could be using to such an extent in education and got accelerated. But there are so many limitations. Not only the teachers have gone through, but the poor students have suffered. I remember some time back, I had virtual communication and interaction with many students of University of Mumbai and learned the difficulties they are facing in online learning and also giving online examinations. And as I said, there's a real challenge for teachers also. And on this background, this is the real need to organize such lectures, such seminars, and to bring awareness amongst teachers, amongst students, and all the stakeholders of education, including even parents. When the parents play an important role, and the role at home due to online education was more. And I do not know how long this situation will continue, but I'm hopeful that it is getting over and it's enough for all of us. But one thing is there, this pandemic has disrupted everything. And the future education is not going to be the same as what we thought and what we were doing earlier. The future will be a sort of blended learning, hybrid mode of learning. And therefore, we as teachers, as well as students, need to prepare ourselves how to take the level of education to that level using technology meaningfully. And therefore, it is not merely preparing the content of lecture, but using the innovative ways of pedagogy, using the technology meaningfully to deliver, and something which otherwise probably the students learn with a physical mode. And when we have no choice, especially the real challenge many science and technology teachers are facing is the experimental work, now how to do that. And no doubt there is a technology where AI being used meaningfully, three-dimensional augmentations and everything. So there are so many ways, even the gamification, that earlier the student used to spend time playing video games and we as parents used to shout at them not to waste time. But the same video games can be very well used in teaching process and even the learning and involving students in the participatory mode. Because one of the limitations this online teaching we all are facing is how to reach out to students and engage them. It is not merely getting logged in to lecture, but many times we don't know whether the students are really attending behind the screen or not. So how to engage them is a real challenge. And not only that, when I interacted with students, many said they are facing or they're undergoing some sort of a stress. There are many who have to attend 4 or 5 online lectures in a day. There are many where 2 or 3 children will have to log in and they don't have the equipment and the necessary other facilities where the Wi-Fi connectivity is low. And the similar problems the teachers facing, how to reach out to them. So there are so many issues. I can only say that whenever there are challenges, that also gives us opportunity and how we need to grab the opportunity and to go ahead. Because we cannot say every day is important. Some day which are good, we should be happy, but there are some days that are bad. There is a scope for us to learn. And this is how we need to go ahead. So all this, I can only say, I will not take more time because we all are waiting for Dr. Harish Shetty's presentation. And he's a wonderful speaker, I know. So all I can say, the teachers are going to play an important role. And the teachers will make a huge difference as far as the coming challenges in higher education is concerned. And as far as the students are concerned, I would say, you must have complete clarity as what you want to achieve in life, your aspirations. And to fulfill your aspiration, you need to sharpen your abilities And that is exactly what you are doing by joining school, colleges, universities. And these abilities to be well blended with a positive attitude, which is very important, because we know ability is what you can do, but the positive attitude determines how well you can do it. And along with that, there is also necessity to learn the importance of adaptability, what we have learned more because of the COVID situation. And that is mainly because we have realized that the world and everything doesn't move linearly. There are ups and downs. We need to adapt ourselves. We need to understand the importance of collaboration, working together. And more importantly, I feel you need to be innovative. You need to be creative, and you need to go beyond the limits of possible into the impossible. And every day, as I said, we try our best with the hope that tomorrow will be better than today. And ultimately, hope is nothing but the necessary condition for creating a future worth living. And this is where the teachers are going to play an important role to shape the future of students. And at the same time, it will be the responsibility of students also to understand, to acquire the requisite abilities and the leadership qualities to be ready to face the future challenges. So in this regard, I really appreciate Academistan, which is taking initiative, organizing various activities for the benefit of teachers, for the benefit of students. And you all must make use of this facility even in future. And once again, I congratulate and appreciate Deepak Mukadamji for taking this initiative, and wishing you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Suhas Petnekar, sir, for such an enlightening piece of thought processes and words. I think you are absolutely right when you mentioned that, this tiny virus has taught us many things, and there will be challenges, there will be lots and lots of hurdles, and that along with that comes opportunities as well. And if we couple that with emotional resilience as teachers, I think we get a little heads up. So today we present Dr. Harish Shetty, who is going to enlighten with some thoughts, tips and strategies to acclimatize ourselves to this huge transition that we teachers are about to experience. Very, very quickly, I'd like to also introduce Dr. Shetty, sir. He's an eminent psychiatrist, very well known across the country for his contributions to the field of psychiatry and psychotherapy. He is currently practicing at the Dr. L.H. Hiranandani Hospital, Powai, Mumbai. He is a member of Indian Medical Association, Indian Psychiatric Society. He is present on several advisory board of top counseling and wellness centers. Sir has immense experience in the mental health sector. He has conducted hundreds of workshops for students, teachers, heads of educational institutions, and the non-teaching staff for over two decades now. Sir has also been identified as one of the 17 young mental health workers by the World Training there in the years 1995 and 1996. He has been appointed as the member of NTA, National Testing Agency, by the Union Cabinet or on behalf of the HRD Ministry. Sir, with your permission, I'd like to also add something here, which is certainly not there on your bio. Those who have heard Dr. Harish Shetty will vouch when I say that he is known for his captivating, insightful speeches around mental health, enhancing daily functioning, and overall well-being. His way of delivery is simply impeccable, coupled with humor. The content very practical, simple to understand. He's very, very motivating enough, when he gives us tips to adopt in the day, adopt with strategies that will help us in daily living. Is certainly a delight to hear. Sir, we are very grateful to you for sparing your precious time, and we will be delighted to hear you now. Please help all of us teachers, to prepare ourselves towards adjusting to this online teaching after almost 2 years now. After all, teachers are reservoirs to student energies too, so we need some tips and tricks to energize ourselves. At this juncture, I would like participants to please mute themselves. Do send us your questions via the chat section that you wish to ask sir at the end of his talk. Over to you, sir.
Well, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you, Honorable Vice Chancellor Suhas Pednekarji. I know him for a very long time, and I've been in touch with all his work, which we keep on hearing. We are very happy to have you as the Vice Chancellor, sir. So grateful for you to agree to be the guest. Deepak Mukadam is a friend for the last 40 years. I've seen his hair receding, his wisdom growing, and innovating in the form of Academistan, a man who's endowed with a great legacy of his parents, his father, and today he's here as somebody who would want to facilitate a lot of learning for teachers. Let me also admit that across the last 25, 30 years, I've been in educational institute every week. Today, after this, I'm going to go to a offline lecture for poor Marathi medium students in Borivali. And tomorrow again, I'm with 10th standard students and teachers. I believe this sentence, teacher is the sun in the galaxy of learning. I also have an analogy for doctors from where I borrowed this sentence. Doctor is the sun in the galaxy of medicine. A general practitioner, not a doctor, general practitioner. So when I say this, I'm inspired by a lot of teachers across the last 2 years whom I've met online, offline, for all their contributions to prevent dropouts and improve mental health in schools. I have seen a lot of simple teachers donating money for buying cell phones for their students, for donating money to buy school material and books so that they don't drop out, by hand-holding a lot of children, calling them at home and teaching them, and going not the extra mile, but extra hundreds of miles with tons of love. And really, this effort which I hear has inspired me across time, and I continue being inspired. Let me tell you, what I share today is not from my MD psychiatry or from my DPM psychiatry or from my diploma, postgraduate diploma in comparative mythology from Bombay University, Department of Sanskrit. What I'm going to share is what I've learned from teachers and students across the last 30 years. And let me start by saying that the first important sentence is, man is a social animal, teacher is a powerful social animal. I still remember the beautiful sentence I've heard from my school teachers. It's in there. Probably teachers don't know what they share, but the point is children pick up those sentences and live it magically across life. I still remember so many sentences, and one of the sentences I remember is my school principal, St. Xavier's High School, Villeparle, who told me, be a good boy, when I was about to be thrown out of the school. So man is a social animal, teacher is a powerful social animal. I still remember my son saying, while driving down to his school, Daddy, music band karo. Far away from the school, he said, Kyun? He said, noise pollution hota hai. He was a little child. Kisne kaha? He said, my teacher has said. So we are powerful social animals, because I am also a teacher across the last 30 years, teaching anywhere and everywhere. And as I say this, remember in life, content and context are two important things. When a cricket match is planned, the BCCI or any group of selectors across the world look at which country they are going to, what sort of weather they have, what sort of climate they have, and what is the opposition they would be facing. And the captains generally go to the pitch and find out, is there more grass? Is there more soil? Is it hard? Is it soft? Will it turn? They also see the weather of the day, and they find out how's the breeze, what is the breeze, what is the dew, will there be sunlight? And understanding the context is one of the first things one has to do anywhere. Anywhere, in the world of learning. Content has to be matched with the context. And when content and context merge or interact, there is a revolution, there's an explosion. And when I say this, I say that we need to learn and understand what is the context. From the cage to the classroom. You, as teachers, have had the school inside your house, your husband's office inside the house, your children's playground inside the house, restaurant inside the house, and let me add so many things inside the house. Your home and your house was a multipolar world with multiple things happening at the same time, not easy to manage, not easy to execute, not easy to actually use. So what happens when we come out of the cage to the classroom? Not us, only teachers, but also students and our non-teaching staff. Well, when you are in the cage for a long time, you'll understand when you talk to people at Victoria Zoo or any zoo, that once you're in the cage, you believe this is the nice place, this is the right place. And even if you open the cage, you want to be inside and you come out very gently. And you suffer from something known as learned helplessness. What is learned helplessness? When a spouse is beaten up day in and day out by his or her spouse, he or she feels that this is life, this is the new normal. It's perfectly all right. Being beaten up is the new normal, and that is known as learned helplessness. So in COVID also, when kids say हमें school नहीं जाना है, when teachers say कि यहीं से सब ठीक है, इसका मतलब है मैं असहाय हूँ, मैं helpless हूँ और यही मेरा normal है. That is an abnormal state which needs to work on. Some mindfully trudge slowly outside because they've been mindful across the last 2 years. They have done yoga, they have done vipassana, they have meditated, they have used simple home remedies to beat loneliness. They have used simple home remedies to beat being inside the cage and break their solitude. And they are mindful. And these are the guys who will do extremely well as the school starts. Then there's reckless rushing out and going to different parts of the world, rushing out and meeting friends left, right, and center. मुझे Omicron भी हो गया है. I've faced 3 world wars. First COVID, second COVID, and third COVID. अभी कुछ नहीं होगा. And that is something very dangerous. Not because they'll have the infection again, but because their attitude is of कल क्या होगा किसको पता आज जिंदगी का ले लो मजा. This hedonistic activity is seen all over the world during other disasters also. We see it in Israel, we see it in Palestine, where there were wars and people still got married and they would drink to glory across the day because they said, Kal kya hoga, kisko pata. This reckless rushing is very dangerous, extremely dangerous, and that will hurt you when you're in school, or that will hurt the kids also if their families are the same. There's another, so many children come and say, Abhi, acha hai online, we don't have to face the teacher, we don't have to do anything. I'm very comfortable with this online. And a lot of children feel that solitude is good. A lot of teachers also feel, क्यों रोज जाके principal का चेहरा मैं देखूं? ठीक है, मुझे मजा आता है. There's one section which believes in that. This is the new normal. Solitude is good. But I tell them all the time, solitude is a good place to visit, but a bad place to stay. And that is something so important. And as you look ahead, let me tell you the context. Unless you know the context, you can't manage the present. And Honorable Vice Chancellor will agree with me. My dear friend Deepak Mukadam also will agree with me. Let me tell you something very important. 2017, when NIMHANS came up with a study, epidemiological study, for all who do not know, NIMHANS is the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, which is mandated by the central government long ago. It is an institute run by the central government. They said 10%, 1 out of 10 people are mentally ill. 2017. And 2019, Ministry of Health Center and ICMR said 1 out of 7 Indians are mental. That is 200 million in India. Much more than tuberculosis, much more than malaria, much more than diabetes, and much more than any illness. So 1 out of 7 would mean in your family, extended family, there's one person who's mentally ill. And what is the new data which you need to understand before you stand in front of the class and teach? 10% increase in suicides in 2020. From 2019 to 2020, suddenly a 10% increase. This cannot happen just like that. The only variable which is important is COVID. And as I go ahead, let me also tell you, my dear teachers, my lovely teachers, 1/3 of people who die of suicide have family problems. You will face it in the classroom by kids becoming irritable, kids being withdrawn, kids crying, kids not doing well, kids having lost concentration. And what I tell all the teachers is, you cannot change the lifestyle of the family, but you can do some very important things. In 6 hours of school or 4 hours of school, the children need to experience learning. मुझे याद रहता है, मुझे समझ में आता है. They need to experience friendship. मैं दोस्त बना सकता हूँ. They need to experience play. मैं दोस्तों के साथ खेल सकता हूँ. Number 4, they need to experience memory. जो पढ़ा है मैं reproduce कर सकता हूँ. मैं प्रश्नों का उत्तर दे सकता हूँ. Number 5, they need to experience joy. And number 6, they need to experience acceptance. And that is enough buffer in large number of cases against difficult families. Against very difficult families, though few of them might need support and help. And let me tell you, I have 6 beliefs when I work with kids. One is, every child is important. All children are equal. Every child is different. Every child can learn. No child is born a criminal. And transformation is possible in every child. Very important for us to understand this. Again, one of the most important variables which we need to understand is low education directly correlates to increase in death by suicide. 85% of those who have died by suicide in 2020 have education less than 12th standard. Look at the NCRB figures. So poverty and mental health issues are higher among the poor. So education, stopping all dropouts, seeing that children continue their education beyond 12 is one factor which prevents mental health issues and suicide. And this is so important. Well, you know this, 78% schools don't have internet facilities, 61% do not have computers, must have increased by now. And teachers' well-being. Let's not overestimate the power of the teacher. Let's not overestimate the strength and the resilience of the teacher. Let us be pragmatic. Let us be honest. Let's understand the COVID virus. What is the virus? There is a difference between a disaster and a pandemic. Why? An earthquake, the earth shakes, buildings fall. One time, the impact phase is very short. Few seconds or a minute or 2 minutes. In a cyclone where I worked at Kandla for 1 year, Wabajoda they say in Gujarati. Sonia. Anyway, so it is so important to understand that a cyclone or a flood could be for a few days. But this virus has been beating us for the last 2.5 years. What is the second characteristic of the virus? Invisible. Third characteristic, large number of deaths. Fourth, which is again very important, is that we could not take care of our loved ones in the hospital. And the fifth is COVID terrorists, those who made money over COVID. And so the impact of this COVID will be big, including teachers. And what has happened to teachers across the world, when you look at all studies, teachers have a lot of fear, lethargy, irritability, anger, and loss of motivation. All those teachers who opposed me, well, I said school should start. We spoke to the government also, school should start. And then they opposed me, they said, unless everybody is vaccinated, we don't think school should start. And I believe that most of the opposition of families were only because of the residual fear of the 3 world wars, COVID-1, COVID-2, COVID-3. Also because we need to understand an analogy. Deepak will understand this. A businessman who wants to invest 20 crores in a factory or in a restaurant does not collect all the 20 crores, earn the 20 crores and start a restaurant. He has a 5 crores and he says, let us take the risk, a rational, logical risk, and we start the industry. Similarly, when we say school should start, when a lot of parents and teachers oppose us, it's also because of residual fears, it's also because of their thought process, and maybe the different point of view, which I respect. Dissent is important in democracy. And so, under the age of 12, a lot of children have a good thymus, which protects them and causes increased immunity. Also, between 15 and 16, we have vaccines. So, my dear friends, schools have to start, because a large number of kids are depressed, and many of them improved just because they went to school. A large number of kids have become listless. A large number of kids have become very irritable. Going to school is a mental health intervention, and meeting teachers is ecstasy. And that is something which large number of kids actually understand. Teachers, mental issues, I have been studied, a lot of studies, I've read through it, and also seen with my own experience what's happening to Indian teachers. So this has to be, my dear friends, a tattoo on your arm. Man ke khidki ko nahi kholenge, to zindagi badlegi. And as Honorable Vice Chancellor said, disaster is an opportunity to move from one level of development to the other. Which means what? Which means मैंने जिंदगी में कभी अपनी भावनाओं को व्यक्त नहीं किया. हमारे घर में माँ बाप अपनी भावनाओं को किसी को बताते नहीं हैं. हमारे घर में तो अपने बिजनेस की बातें और अपने पैसे का जो बातें बच्चों को और अपनी पत्नियों को, अपने पति को नहीं बताते. अरे यार, COVID has told us lockmans at time. And I, as a psychiatrist, have been experiencing love from my patients. I'll tell you how. A lot of patients are asking me, how are you? Are you okay? Are you well? A lot of patients are giving me gifts, from vegetables to many other things. A first time in my life, over the last 2 years, people who know me, pick the phone up and ask me, how are you? And that is because there is an existential thought. Anything can happen to anybody. Invincibility of the human race has been shattered. Immortal delusions, immortality, the delusion of immortality has been shattered. The delusion of power and omnipotence has been shattered, because every apna bhi kabhi bhi wicked ja sakta hai. And जैसे शाहबुद्दीन राठौड़ ने कहा गुजरात में, तारो पाछी मारो. So what has happened? People have slowly started sharing their feelings. And as I say this, let me ask you, टीचरों को क्या करना चाहिए? मुझे बुलाया आपने, मैंने जो सीखा वो आपको बताऊंगा from the teachers. कुछ लोगों ने कहा we have to put plastic smiles in front of the class. I said don't do that. Never do that. नहीं तो क्या कहें, हम दुखी हैं, हमारे हस्बैंड के जॉब चले गए, क्या मैं सबको बताऊं? I said every teacher is a storyteller. Teachers are great storytellers. And I would say no superficial smiles, but sensitive sharing. I still remember the teacher who said, my dear doctor friend, we have lost people in our families. I don't know how to teach, but I want to teach. What should I do? When I teach, my tears can flow. I said, tears are liberating. Children understand. The mind of the child is very open. The simplest minds are very profound. And if you feel the need to share your story, which you feel is age appropriate, no harm in saying that I am going through grief, my dear students, and I'm trying my best to be in the class and teach me. Please understand me. Teachers are not the father figures of children alone. Children are also counselors of teachers. Children also, compassion from children energizes the teacher. Love from the child energizes the teacher. So do not have superficial smiles. Don't wear mukhota or masks. Sometimes, apart from thinking time, answering the equations, giving stories of history and geography, please be a storyteller. I still remember this beautiful teacher, male, from a very small school, was struggling with his phone. And as somebody said, the number of phones he had were very few. And then he went on live recently offline. And he was very uncomfortable, not because he was scared of attending the class, but he felt that he has not done justice on the online teaching. Mi kai sangaयचं त्यांना? He asked me in Marathi. And I said, you have learned a new technology, but you are not adapted it. Go and tell the children. My dear children, I was not adept at the technology. I did not have a good Wi-Fi. Maybe my connections were bad. Maybe I was not as good as I was in front of you, but I was trying. And I want to apologize to you, my dear children. I'll make it up now. And let me tell you, there was a transcript in the class. few children shared the same thing with them, that we were also finding it difficult because we had difficulties in our Wi-Fi. We had very few phones. There was only one phone. And studies have shown that when there's only one phone in the house, it's difficult for two children to really learn. And that I call as superficial smiles. Nakoga. तुम कोई फिल्म के एक्टर या एक्ट्रेस नहीं हो जो सीन को आपको पेश करना है. आप शिक्षक हो जो जिंदगी भर का इंप्रेशन बच्चों पे छोड़ते हो. Honesty and sensitivity has a terrific impact on the child, and the child learns this beautiful nature trait or a beautiful value in the classroom without you actually teaching them. So when so many teachers said that we went to the house, I still remember Swami Vivekananda College. There was a special school. They found that the children were not joining. Teachers went to their homes in the middle of the COVID disaster. Extra mile teacher. And when I asked them, "Tumne kyo kiya?" They said, we just could not accept that our children are not in touch with us and children have to lose their learning. And we felt the need to go. And that is the teacher of today. And how did it happen? I asked them, how did it happen? He said, COVID taught us. COVID से कोरोना बड़ा है. प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने भी ये कहा है. और भी कुछ हुआ है. But extra mile चलने वाले टीचर अलग है. Good teachers don't make home visits. Great teachers do. And so many schools, teachers have found that children are not on the net. Children are not connecting. In spite of many phone calls, they don't know what is happening. Probably in one phone call, a child's father gave a false excuse. And the principal asked me, क्या करूं? मैंने कहा घर पे चले जाओ. कौन से document में या कौन से job description में कहा है कि आप घर नहीं जा सकते हो? So that teacher who walks the extra mile, he's mentally healthy. Existentially, when you find meaning in life, your mood improves. Existentially, when you find that you're doing something beautiful, mood improves. And when you walk the extra mile, you're much better than a clockwork teacher. If you want to be healthy, don't be a clockwork teacher. मेरा समय खत्म हो गया, मैं अभी घर भागूंगा, मुझे और कोई कुछ करना नहीं. And sometimes also, I still remember a teacher in a school saying, "Me क्यों वहीं पैसे खाली लेना? Me honest है." And that is not extra mile. That is something we are expected to do. So what is very important is kindness is a sedative. Kindness improves mood. Kindness gives meaning in life. And then you will feel when you sleep and the fan revolves around you, you feel my zindagi around. That also a very powerful mental health stimulus. And that also spurs you to do a lot. Awareness of feelings is extremely important for mental health. And the first is gussa. You know why? In COVID, there's apathy, there's empathy, and there's antipathy. Apathy when my neighbors, there have been many deaths, I am scared, my mind becomes very numb. And when my mind becomes very numb, I become either excessively scared, or I become excessively angry, or I become excessively passive. Anger and irritability is also a consequence of disaster. And sometimes we find entire family very irritable. Children of the teachers being told, "Tumhe abhyas karat nahi, padhte nahi ho, kaise karoge?" And a lot of anxiety. And sometimes some principals, not everybody, few principals feel that anxiety. And when they feel that anxiety, they want to have more meetings with the teachers. And some meetings are unnecessary. Meeting pe meeting, kaiko. So anger is one of the most important consequences after a pandemic. Happened with teachers. I still remember 2 teachers from a school said, "आप हमारे प्रिंसिपल को जरा समझाओ." मैंने बोला क्या हुआ? मैंने कहा वो बार-बार मीटिंग लेती है, मीटिंग पे कभी-कभी रात को भी मीटिंग लेती है. मैंने कहा ऐसा क्यों? पता नहीं सर, कुछ तो हुआ है, ये हमें नहीं जमता, हम घर पे हैं तब हमें थोड़ा फ्री रहना चाहिए. We want to be free in the evening, we want to be with the family. ये इतना मीटिंग की आवश्यकता नहीं है. मैंने कहा आपने उन्हें बताया? नहीं, हम कैसे बताएंगे? आप जरा बताओ ना. मैंने कहा मैं नहीं बताऊंगा. मैं आपके मांडोली का बादशाह नहीं हूं. मेरा काम है कैसे मांडोली करना ये आपको सिखाना. तो मैंने कहा देखो, प्रिंसिपल हो या टीचर, everybody is going through the same distress. Probably, I have found in my research that people who are stressed give more homeworks. People who are stressed ask for more assignments. People excessively stressed are very harsh when it comes to assignments. And that is not because they're bad human beings. That is because we are also in the midst of a post-COVID mental health pandemic. तो क्या करें? मैंने कुछ नहीं करे. प्रिंसिपल को बोलना मुझे आपसे 10 मिनट मिलना. जो जवाब आया हम मिल नहीं सकते क्योंकि अभी वो लॉकडाउन है और कोविड प्रोटोकॉल. फिर भी जब आपको समय है मैं आपको 10 मिनट. दोनों गए उनके पास और मैंने कहा ये मत शिकायत करो. डोंट कंप्लेन दैट यू आर होल्डिंग मीटिंग ऑल द टाइम. यू सेड मैम तुम ऐसे नहीं थे पहले. क्या हुआ मैम? कैन वी हेल्प यू? And that principal stared at them. They said, what do you mean? And I said, and they said, ma'am, you were never like this before. You never asked for meetings late in the evening when there was offline school. Is there something we can manage and help you? And then they found that the teacher's husband was in ICU for a very long time. She never told anybody. He came back alive, but the husband was not very good. There was oxygenator inside the house. They were managing the husband's oxygen, and she was terribly disturbed. So always understand that when there is anger inside you or anger outside you, it's because of a difficult story. Behind the behavior is a story, and behind that story there could be many stories. Let's not pass judgments on difficult school teachers and difficult principals or difficult college teachers and difficult principals. But what is important is listen to the anger, be aware of the anger, don't deny it. Awareness of feelings would mean acknowledge the feeling, identify the feeling, accept the feeling, experience the feeling, exhaust the feeling, or meet somebody who can help you with the feeling. Many times it's because of fear. I still remember the many experiments we conducted with families. मैंने पूछा आपको डर लगता है क्या? हर एक ने चिट्ठी मिलके कहा हमें मौत का खौफ है, लगता है हम नहीं बचेंगे. And you'll find this answer from the most educated, because education would not mean that they are resilient towards any stress. My dear friends, we need to manage their anger, because anger can get converted into resentment, hostility, and hate if you are not alert and if you are not listening to your anger. Anger is normal, aggression is abnormal. Anger is normal, humiliation is abnormal. Anger is normal, hate is abnormal. And when you start hating intensely, your principal you can't teach. And you start hating intensely the prime minister of the country, you can't love the country. And if you start hating your mother-in-law so intensely, you can't love your spouse. Intense hate anywhere interferes with love everywhere. And hate is also very infectious. And not only infectious, but also addictive. So be aware of your anger and see that you take care of yourself. My dear friends, many of you may have lost friends, loved ones, acquaintances, relatives, distant relatives, and sadness is a consequence of the COVID era. Don't deny that sadness. Huh? Experience that sadness. Those who do not experience sadness are not able to love. Those who are not able to accept sadness and experience sadness may not be able to experience joy. It is linked. When you accept an emotion, you can experience another positive emotion. हाँ, मुझे दुख लगता है, मेरे आंखों में आंसू आती है. I have lost 2 people in COVID-2, World War II. My mother's sister and my brother. And I felt very sad. I was not ashamed to say that I cried. I'm not ashamed to say that I and my nephew cremated my aunt alone. He was helping me and I was helping him. So accept sadness as normal. And those who believe that sadness is normal, those who believe they're not very strong human beings, there are no strong human beings. I come to that. And those who accept sadness, they are also very empathic. Emotional regulation is better. Samanta aati hai. And when emotional regulation is better, equanimity is much better. So I'm saying, my dear friends, that whatever is the sadness, let us understand that crying together heals the family. The family that cries together heals together. And it's so important to understand that tears are very liberating, especially for men also. Please, men in this group, Be normal. A teacher is better than no teacher. Good teacher is better than any teacher. Normal teacher is better than a good teacher. That is a value you will really send to friends. Very normal. Extremely normal. And maybe the context is different. I wanted to become the principal. COVID came. They extended the term of that old principal. I had to present my paper somewhere else, but my friend had a chance to go because she went before COVID. I could not go after COVID. My promotion has stopped. My close relatives who were in the hospital died, but my friends' close relatives were much older than my close relatives came back. And that is also something which can happen. And one technology which we need to use to break that bomb inside the mind, break the numbness inside the mind, is reciprocal, abundant caring and appreciation. And what do I mean by that? We started this with doctors. Doctors were very tired and exhausted, especially those who are working inside the wards, COVID wards. And one technology or one tool which we used is, कभी भी जब आप किसी के डॉक्टर का कुछ अच्छा काम आपने सुना, आप जानते भी नहीं हो, पहचानते भी नहीं हो, तो फोन उठा के उनका स्तुति करो. आप जानते नहीं है, उनका फोन नंबर लेकर स्तुति करो कि मैं सुना हूं कि आपने क्लास में नया एक्सपेरिमेंट किया, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. सीनियर हो या जूनियर हो, रिमेंबर द वर्ल्ड इज फ्लैट. In the field of medicine, there is no second opinion. Now there is shared opinion. A younger consultant may find something which people like me miss. Isn't that possible? Yes. Reciprocal, abundant appreciation. Picking up the phone and talking. And I've seen during the COVID pandemic, doctors who were never talking to each other have started talking to each other. Siblings who were never speaking to each other have started talking to each other. Teachers who did not like each other have started being kind to each other. Reciprocal, abundant appreciation is a human gesture. COVID has taught us that. Why? Because Shahabuddin Rathod said, Taro Pachimaro, we are going to meet everybody in heaven, maybe later. So that, and when reciprocal, abundant caring is different. When you hear somebody is in a miserable shape, especially your teacher, and he or she may have been a very probably in your own minds, a very uptight, very arrogant, not being kind to anybody, very rude, you still pick up the phone and talk. We have heard that this has happened to your son. We have heard that your disabled child is in the ICU for a long time. Is there something we can do for you? So caring and appreciation, invisible caring and appreciation, not the Facebook caring and appreciation, invisible caring and appreciation, not the Facebook or the Twitter caring and appreciation, really breaks the pain, the numbness, the fear, and causes change in the mental state. My dear friends, COVID is disruptive, has changed. This is the Kalinga War. And what happened after the war? Though there are historical controversies whether Ashoka became of this before or after, but Ashoka had an existential change in his mind. And that existential change was, he became kind, he became generous. Similarly, when 4 lakh, 5 lakh people have died in the country, approximately 2 lakh have died in Maharashtra. Smashan Virag nahi, Smashan Virag lasts only for 1 day. But this continuous virag, an acceptance that we are not immortal, acceptance that we are not omnipotent, accepting that we are human and mortal, and we have a short journey on this earth. My tone in the classroom has changed. My tone with my patients have changed, and so has so many teachers. My behavior has changed. I don't shake hands. I fold. Thank you for coming to me. I'm more patient. I'm more productive and I'm more effective and I'm more persistent. My irritability has gone down. My ability to manage situations are better, and I sleep better. I sleep well. I'm generous. That is true for so many teachers. So COVID also is a mental health stimulus. And we find that, I still remember great doctors would not talk to their patients when they're in the lift. They only would talk inside their clinics. Great doctors would not pick up the phones. They would not be available when you want them. Things have changed. Those doctors have started appreciating the resident doctors. They're kind to the resident doctors. They're feeding them with food. They're asking them about their life. They're talking to their parents across the border and saying that your son or your daughter is doing extremely good. So हुआ है, मेरे patients भी 2 साल से मेरे बारे में पूछते हैं, and that has changed. And similarly, my teachers, I've seen, I've heard people tell me that our tone has changed. We have become more patient. Our behavior has changed. Our productivity has changed. But stress teachers will give more homeworks. Stress teachers will insist on the assignment on the same day. Stress teachers will have longer meetings. Stress teachers will have bigger committees. Stress teachers will say education first, mental health relief next. But when you are aware, when you are changing, you will say child first, education next. And what happens in a disaster? Honorable Vice Chancellor also mentioned in a different way. बिल्डिंग जब डिमोलिश होती है तो रीडेवलपमेंट का बिल्डिंग अच्छा होता है. Demolition also leads to redevelopment. What does that mean? Crisis also leads to tectonic changes in life, big changes in life. But sometimes some people are brooding about the demolition. They don't want the new building. That also because they have been shattered by the disaster. They are depressed. They have memories of the events. They have been in the ICU and they can't manage the memories. The numbers of such people are very big and they need help. Friendly neighborhood psychiatrist or psychologist. But teachers, I would like to say, मन का redevelopment हो रहा है. The RNA virus has changed the DNA of the mind. So let me tell you how to really manage fears, which is one of the most important attribute which stops us from growing or stops us from coming back with full force. Fears. There are 3 types of fears. One is fear of the disaster and the pandemic. Mera wicket jayega kya? General fear. 3 things were there. Fear of the infection, fear of death, and uncertainty earlier. But as we move ahead, it is residual fears. Now, how do you manage it? We can manage it by different ways. And I'll come to that. One is you can sit down and write the entire story on a page. Emotions move out and the memory gets quarantined. It works only for some. In some, it does not work at all because the event is forgotten, but the body has changed, which means if I drive a car and hit Deepak, arresting me will not help Deepak to feel good after the car. He needs an orthopedic surgeon. Sometimes the event is disregarded, but the manifestation in the body. And what do? Fears can be resolved, but fears can also dissolve. Sharing, yes, that works, but continuous sharing also makes the other person very distressed. And sometimes continuous sharing increases the fear and then it reinforces the fear. So, yoga, vipassana, analyzing the fear rationally. मैंने 3 वैक्सीन लिया है, 2 वैक्सीन लिया है, मैंने बूस्टर भी लिया होगा, मैं अपना मास्क पहनता हूँ, मुझे होने की संभावना कम है और यदि हुआ तो मैंने अपना नेटवर्क को स्ट्रांग रखा है. आई एम कनेक्टेड and the probability of something happening to me is the least. Fear goes down. And sometimes religious activities, relaxation of the body, exercise dissolves fears and tears. And so there could be many, many ways. And if at all these ways are not useful and you get panic attacks, the heart beats faster, it can come anytime. Don't wait for providence to help you. Don't wait for magic to happen. Don't wait for it to go away, because time is not always the best healer. समय से सब कुछ अच्छा होता है. Not always. Not always. Time is not always the best. तब अपने फैमिली डॉक्टर के पास जाना. और जैसा अमिताभ बच्चन ने कहा है, 2 बूंद जिंदगी की इन ओरल पोलियो, कभी कभी 1 गोली घबराहट की, no problem. Reckless victories, apart from the fears, अरे 3 आम्ही ओमायक्रॉन पण मला झालं, आता काय नाही, आम्ही फिरत राहणार, आम्ही मास्क नाही घालणार आणि फिरत. नो यार, hedonism does not help. Mindfulness works. Recurrence of sadness sometimes, when somebody has faced COVID inside the house as quarantine, any teacher who's been hospitalized feels extremely bouncy and extremely ecstatic. My jeet gaya, my mara nahi. And suddenly you block all your feelings. But after some time, you might get sudden sadness. Arey, मैं कुछ नहीं हुआ था, अभी 6 महीने के बाद हो सकता है. And sometimes sadness can be because of the COVID fog. Sadness can be because of the virus causing different changes inside your body. And many people with COVID have psychiatric illnesses. पण क्या है ना, हम लोग साइकियाट्री हम लोग योगा करें, अरे यार फ्रैक्चर है, तब इलाज की आवश्यकता है, स्प्रेन है, मोच है, तो वी कैन डू अदर थिंग्स, योग, विपश्यना, रनिंग, एक्सरसाइज, डांसिंग, मीटिंग फ्रेंड्स, लाफिंग, यस. But जब उदासीनता होती है, और that sadness is as deep, I don't feel like going to any place, I feel very lazy, I feel very irritable, I feel that I'm responsible for that virus to come to my my family because I went to the school. That needs treatment. Tears and memories are also something which you actually need to manage. Sometimes difficult memories, very difficult memories, can cause a lot of harm, and these memories will not go on its own. Counseling might help. I still remember this teacher saying that I was in the ICU. I get memories of people in PP kits. I get memories of people being wheeled out on the wall, on the wheels, because they passed away. 3 of my patients who were there adjacent to my beds, they passed away, and I still get memories, though I completely have improved. Intrusive memories need help. They don't go away with time. Also, apart from intrusive memories, some teachers say, COVID, आप कहते हैं सर आपका टोन बदल गया, मेरा तो जिंदगी बदल गई, मैं खुशी भी नहीं महसूस कर सकता हूँ, उदासीनता भी मैं महसूस नहीं कर सकता हूँ. तब ये सब भगवान के पास जाना, बाबा के पास जाना, प्रवचन सुनने से नहीं होगा, क्योंकि फ्रैक्चर है तो इलाज करना पड़ेगा, मेमोरी को क्वारंटाइन करना पड़ेगा. कभी कभी बातचीत से, दोस्तों के साथ, योग के साथ कम होता है, पर कभी कभी इतनी तीव्रता से आती है that you don't sleep at all. So you might have to use both friendship, love, being connected, but also taking help from your families. My dear friends, I said demolition might lead to paralysis and depression. That is treatment, but demolition also leads to redevelopment. Now, there are many principals who are very resilient. Many teachers are very resilient. People look up to them. देख, मुझे कुछ नहीं होता है, मुझे कुछ नहीं हुआ है. But एक बात ध्यान रखना, somebody who's very resilient is not always resilient. Resilience and fragility can go hand in hand. In the morning, you're very strong. You are inspiring your teachers, your friends, your junior teachers, or you are inspiring your senior teachers saying, मैं हूं ना. शाम को अचानक you become very fragile, and that is perfectly normal. That's something we need to accept. So mind is not made of iron or steel, it's made of neurons. Nourish it always. My dear friends, as I said, identify the feeling, acknowledge the feeling, accept the feeling, experience the feeling, and exhaust the feeling. Schools should have feeling meetings among the staff, and many schools are actually doing it. Not official meetings of curriculum or examination or holiday planning. Just sit down across and share your feelings. And what do I mean by sharing feelings? Sharing feelings as you start from the top. Evolution starts from the top. Revolution starts from below. And evolution would mean that the principal says, I'm vulnerable. Don't worry, if the principal says I'm vulnerable, that would not mean that the self-esteem of the teacher will fall down. That means principal bhi hamara hi jaisa hai. Unhe bhi takleef hota hai. And that is something very important. Feeling meetings. Break avoidance. Teach teachers not to avoid the thoughts. Teach teachers not to avoid people because they're reminded of the story, which is difficult. Let the family not avoid tears. Let the family not avoid stories. Let the family not avoid talking about somebody who has gone. Let the family not avoid conversations around difficult stories. Face it. The earlier you face it, the better it is. The mind relaxes. When you break avoidance by saying, I still remember this, in Kandla, where I worked with the victims of the cyclone, a family would not meet together. The mother and the two sons would not meet because the father and the two daughter-in-laws died. They would eat at different times. And my intervention then only was eat together. जो होता है होने दो, जो विचार आता है आने दो, आंसू बहना बहुत आवश्यक है. In COVID, lot of families do not share their tears because they feel if mother cries, the child will get destroyed. The child feels, the child cries, the mom will get destroyed, and then the grief really is stored. They feel perfectly normal, but this is going to explode after some time. So break avoidance. As I said, evolution really begins from the top, and that is something you need to really manage. My dear friends, in 1990, I would say, trust your child completely. In 2020, I say, trust your child completely, but keep your eyes open. A lot of children are addicted to the screen, can't help it. It's an extension of the school. A lot of children are fatigued because of the screen. 6 hours of the J pattern, 11 hours of learning, integrated, का integrated, यार 11 घंटा वो screen के सामने बैठेगा, he will become emotionally exhausted. He'll burn out. And then after that, he says, I'm bored. I want to be on the games. I want to use Netflix. And then what happens? Sleep deprivation happens, not insomnia. And when sleep deprivation happens, the orchestra of the body gets destroyed. The mind-body connection breaks. The sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system goes haywire. So understand, a lot of teachers in my research I found are on Netflix late at night. काय को यार, नींद नहीं करोगे तो बर्बाद हो जाओगे. नींद नहीं करोगे तो इम्यूनिटी गिरेगी. इम्यूनिटी एस्टीम चाहिए या नहीं? नींद नहीं करोगे तो मानसिक स्वास्थ्य छोड़ो, शारीरिक स्वास्थ्य भी पूरा बिगड़ जाएगा. And that is something we need to really avoid. Some workplaces are very brutal, my dear friends. I don't know why. I want my students to appear for the exams online. And one student said, I don't feel like appearing, doctor. I don't know. I've been the topper in the class, but अभी नहीं जमता है मुझे. मैंने कहा क्यों? नहीं पता. ये in the lockdown I've lost my concentration. I don't remember. I don't feel like attending class. And I told the school principals, he or she cannot feel like attending class. Give us some break. They said attendance नहीं है तो फिर वो मुश्किल हो जाएगा. मैंने कहा क्या attendance यार, मानसिक जिंदा रखो बच्चों को, खुश रखो बच्चों को, बाद में सीखेंगे वो, आज नहीं तो कल. लर्निंग गैप है, हम फिल करेंगे उसको बाद में. In a corporate, again, I still remember, when somebody said, I want the deadlines, I want to really do my best, and I want targets. And when they went and talked to the boss, they found that the boss was terribly upset, and brutal workplace can really hurt teachers very badly. So my dear friends, little of biology. Artificial intelligence is very good, but it only gives you the outcome from the data fed. And by the way, in COVID, artificial intelligence really flopped because a lot of people, mathematicians, through their algorithms were predicting deaths. And that really went all haywire because biology does not obey mathematics. A lot of people predicted that Nadal will lose in the third set because of artificial intelligence. 76% chances that they will lose. Human spirit is indomitable. I'm not English, but human spirit is fantastic. हम करवट ले सकते हैं यदि हमें इच्छा है. And let me tell you, my dear friends, teaching is all about fun. You are all chefs. आपको 1 किलो भिंडी में दिया रोज, तो अलग अलग तरह से आप उसको पकाएंगे. That is teaching. The book should dance in the class. The pages should dance in the book. And the word should dance on the pen. Then when you go back home, you feel nice. I love teaching. I get a kick. I get ecstasy and euphoria because I love teaching. And I believe every time I should experiment with new forms of teaching, new forms of sentences, new equations, new concepts. Remember, reciprocal, abundant care and appreciation is something which is extremely important. The hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal system actually is a system which handles stress. And when the stress is very high, there is a cortisol rain in the brain, and that causes a lot of problems. You eat more, you feel sloppy, etc. So you need to maintain that. 2 parts of the brain is important. Amygdala causes a lot of irritability. Amygdala was a body which is part of the brain which really helped during the Stone Age. surviving the Stone Age, surviving animals. And those who are very mufat and patkal, their amygdaloid works much more than the prefrontal cortex. Rejuvenate the prefrontal cortex, do yoga, do relaxation, get the tasbih, get the rosary, do vipassana, Shambhavi Mahamudra, or anything which you like, anything. Or if you don't like that, just sit still for 15 minutes a day. You will find the prefrontal cortex, which is important for Vivek Buddhi, for reflective thinking, works much more than the amygdala. Lastly, my dear friends, when you do all this, what happens? Your antennas are open. You are alert to even small doses of love, irrespective of who the person is. You are alert to small doses of gyan, irrespective of who the person is. Junior teacher, core knowledge. I'm PhD, I'm MSc. PhD, MSc, BSc, D.Ed, B.Ed. कोई भी तुमको सिखा सकता है. My learning has been huge from my patients. Huge. My antennas are alert. I put down the idioms they utter in different languages. And I reflect on that. I read about it. I know the gods of every community. I've read about most of the religions, and because of that, I went and really did a postgraduate diploma in comparative methodology in Bombay University. So antennas are open when you're alert to all gyan. That how happens when your heart is open, when your compassion is open, and you have tectonically changed your brain. And when antennas are open, knowledge leads to arrogance, wisdom leads to humility. Wisdom not only leads to humility, wisdom needs to accept that we are temporary travelers on the earth. I need to do as much as I can. If I have fears, I'll do what Dr. Shetty said, and I'll do something else also, but I will respect everybody around me. Which means what? My dear friends, you can never choose your parents or your colleagues in the school. कायनात ने आपको आपके colleagues के साथ मिलाया. And so what is very important is I respect everybody in my school, college. I might not love everybody. I accept the fact that I have to work with Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so. And when respect increases, your humility increases. When humility increases, your mental health is much, much, much better. My dear friends, the virus has changed the DNA of life. It has made us stop and reflect. Vice Chancellor, Honorable Suhas Petnekar has been saying that all the time. It has made us sit down and reflect. क्या करेंगे ये दूसरी गाड़ी से? क्या करेंगे? Again, कुछ नया करना चाहिए. You have to be ambitious. Wealth appropriation is normal. But at what cost is something we need to really ask. The virus has mutated for the worst. Let's mutate for the best. And lastly, my dear friends, my Panchamrut, yoga can really change your hippocampus, which helps you to improve your memory. It improves the prefrontal cortex. You become Vivek. Your reflective thinking is much better. It also calms down the amygdala. You don't become irritable and angry. It also brings back the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system into alignment. When the car is unaligned, it wobbles. It also brings the mind and the body in synchrony. Exercise dissolves fears and tears and anger. There's no excuse. मेरे पास time नहीं है. अरे यार जो 50 काम करता है वो 51 काम के लिए time निकालता है. Well, diet, manage the hypothalamo-pituitary axis. Otherwise, the rain of steroids in the brain will really destroy you. Sleep, yeah, khilwad mat karo. It's not about arithmetic. It's about architecture. Dream sleep or deep sleep आना चाहिए. उठते वक्त deep sleep में उठना चाहिए आपको. Kindness is a sedative. Kindness improves mental health. I still remember. I suddenly gave the fees of my driver's son automatically. I don't know how it happened. It happened. He didn't ask me. I gave him. There are so many of my friends who have started little charitable activities around their area. There are so many of my friends who said, मैंने सुना है कि वो मुझे बताया नहीं, पर मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मेरे हस्बैंड के फैक्ट्री में 2 एम्प्लॉइज को इतना है तकलीफ कि वो काम छोड़ के जाएंगे और आएंगे नहीं. और मैंने पूछताछ की हस्बैंड को गुस्सा आया, पर मैंने दीर्घ रूप से पूछताछ कर मुझे ऐसे पता चला कि they need something very little help, and I told my husband do it. So kindness is a sedative. Kindness improves sleep. Kindness also improves your mental health. Sleep, maskari mat karo yaar. Sleep deprivation will destroy you. Well, sleep deprivation is worse than insomnia. If you really manage your sleep well, you will be healthy, you'll be loving, you'll be caring, and you'll be much more resilient, and be able to manage any disaster. My dear friends, health is all about equanimity, alignment of self with the cosmos, and alignment of mind and body is equal to mental health. Ultimately, non-alignment leads to breakdown of the car, non-alignment leads to breakdown of marriage, and non-alignment of mind and body leads to mental health breakdown. Awareness leads to reprogramming. That's all what we are doing. So, my dear friends, as I stop and I close, let me tell you, निष्काम कर्म करते जाओ, एक दिन अपने को जाना है, शाहबुद्दीन राठौड़ ने कहा तारो पक्षी मारो, जो गए हैं उनको नमस्कार कीजिए, जो गए हैं उनका आत्मा की सद्गति के लिए प्रार्थना कीजिए, और ये बताइए और ये सोचिए कि अच्छा चीज मैं उनसे क्या सीखा हूँ, वो अच्छा चीज जिंदगी में अमल करने के लिए अच्छा रहेगा। और एक बात याद रखना, कनेक्टेडनेस improves mental health, and connectedness is so important that it really helps with mental health. My dear friends, as I said, time is not always the best healer. With this, I stop. And I would summarize by saying, my dear teachers, fear is the most important symptom. Go back to the story and try to rationally manage the fear. If you cannot do it, Yoga, Pranayam, Vipassana, Shambhavi Mahamudra, Sudarshan Kriya, or any form of meditation, can really dissolve fears. If you have panic attacks which are very severe, you need to meet your doctor. Existential dilemmas need to be connected. Maybe you can meet your guru, or you can meet your friendly neighborhood psychologist or psychiatrist. Sometimes you may need psychotherapy. Please meet the friendly neighborhood psychologist. And remember, my dear friends, principal of the school has to be vulnerable, or all the teachers to be vulnerable. And remember, my dear friends, if you want to know more about the children and their stories and what happened to them, you have to share your stories first, because mental health is all about evolution from top. And if the teacher becomes vulnerable, the children are very open. There's a trance state in the classroom, and there is ecstasy, equanimity, and good health. With this, I thank Deepak Mukadam. I genuinely am so happy to have Vice Chancellor Suhas Pednekar in our show, Khyati, for all the good work they have done, and all the IT team here who has been so active, helping to share my thoughts and my words. Thank you, Academistan. May you grow and continue a lot of good work in the area of health, education for teachers and all academicians. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shetty. That was such indeed a very delightful talk to hear, and some tips and tricks that you have already shared. I think you mentioned that it's important to be honest and vulnerable, and I think that's what you have done when you were sharing your own personal experiences around grief or COVID and how you dealt with that. So some very nice things that I personally liked you mentioned were that it's important to be humane. No need to put up a superficial smile as teachers, because that's how we will role model our students into being humane, being honest. It's important to be the extra mile teacher. That was beautiful, not a clock hour teacher. That was really very nice. Kindness is a sedative. Yes, it is indeed a sedative. It helps breed mental well-being, I believe. Another thing that you very nicely mentioned was that it's important for us to be emotionally self-aware as teachers, because that is how we will again mirror and let the students know that it's absolutely okay to accept emotions of sadness, grief, anger, but certainly do something about it. Also, you introduced us to this beautiful idea of reciprocal abundant caring and appreciation. That was indeed very beautiful. Another tips and tricks in terms of having ample sleep, because that will enhance physical and mental well-being, keeping the antennas open, keeping the heart and the compassionate side of yourself open, increasing the humility quotient, and lastly, alignment of mental of mind and body is what will promote mental well-being. Thank you so much, sir, for your thoughts and tips and tricks. There are some questions that have come up during the session. Can I ask them? Can I pose them to
Yeah,
you,
of course,
sir?
of course.
Yes. So you mentioned about learned helplessness. So one teacher asks that, how can we manage learned helplessness? What are some of the ways?
Absolutely. First is go back to the time when you were subjugated by the virus or by people or by circumstance, and look at what you were much before that. मैंने जिंदगी में मार नहीं खाया, माँ बाप ने मैंने मारा है, तो ये जो मेरे ऊपर होता है ये गलत है. Now that is life. Learn helplessness inside a lockdown. You start believing this is the right thing. This is the right thing. And when you get connected to people, your safe space, all of you have a safe space जहाँ आप emotionally nude हो सकते हैं. मेरा भी है. 40 साल से मेरे स्कूल के मित्र में हम लोग नंगा हो सकते हैं. ये विजिटिंग कार्ड कुछ असर नहीं. There's no visiting card in between us. And you can be absolutely emotionally nude. You may not be emotionally nude with your spouse or with your family. You need some time to spend. And open up and say, यार मुझे ऐसे लगता है बाहर जाओ ही नहीं, because movement improves mood, isolation causes depression. Movement improves mood. Then I still remember my friend who was a little more anxious, chartered accountant, would not go out of the house. And then we said, start walking up and down inside the house. Start walking. Movement improves mood, endorphins jata. And then I said, get down the building and walk for 5-10 yards, 50 yards and come back. And then slowly said, हाँ मैं जा थोड़ा लोगों को देखा तो अच्छा लगा यार. मैंने कहा थोड़ा सूरज यदि आपके आसपास है तो थोड़ा ध्यान दो, देखो सूरज को. फिर मैंने कहा यार चांद यदि आपके खिड़की में आती है तो थोड़ा हेलो बोलो यार. पक्षियां सुबह घूमती जाती है तो उनका आवाज सुनो. और यदि कितनी भी छोटी घर है ना, किचन गार्डन बनाओ और वो प्लांट से बातें करो. और धीरे धीरे the family started slowly moving out. My friend who's a CA, and then I said, I'll meet you at the vegetable market. He said, नाम vegetable फोन पे लाते हैं. मैंने बोला मैं जाता हूँ, 2 मास्क पहनता हूँ, डिस्टेंस रखता हूँ, क्योंकि मास्क इज द बेस्ट वैक्सीन. और मैं रेकलेस नहीं हूँ. हाँ, थर्ड वेव गया बोलता है, फिर मैं 2 मास्क पहनता हूँ क्योंकि मास्क इज द बेस्ट वैक्सीन. और हम साथ में भाजी लाएंगे. और आई हैड टू गो फार अवे टू गेट द वेजिटेबल बिकॉज ऑफ हिम. एंड ही केम देयर, ही केम विदाउट अ पिशवी. सेड मुझे भाई तुमने बोला इसके मैं आया. मैंने आया, हम 10 मिनट गप्पा मारे. और धीरे धीरे that can be. Sometimes you might need medication, very rarely, and that is something very important. Secondly, kids also did the same thing. मला बाहर जाए नहीं, मेरे को बाहर नहीं जाना. क्या मैंने कहा तेरा कोई फ्रेंड है क्या रे? हाँ है ना, उसको मिलने अच्छा लगता है. तो मैंने क्या किया, दोनों के माँ बाप को समझा के both the friends, we made them come outside to say just a high five, meet 2 minutes and go away. And he felt so nice. Solitude broken. Learned helplessness is broken. और ये न्यू नॉर्मल है. मैं मार खाऊंगा वायरस से, मैं मार खाऊंगा लॉकडाउन से, पति पत्नी से नहीं. And that breaks. Sometimes, as somebody asked me personally on this message, me and family suffered terribly in the second with hospitalization, oxygen concentration, home, have become paranoid, use sanitizer uncontrollably, we can't go back to being normal. यार आपको किसी मेरी जैसे कोई psychiatrist की बात करना पड़ेगा. Because when you can't start your conversation about being alone, slowly you'll find that you're opening up the cobwebs in the mind and starting, because the fear, having oxygen at home is very scary. My friend had it. My dear friend had that oxygenator for her husband, and constantly conversation, not counseling, conversation. Counseling can also be conversation, and slowly opening the webs and slowly initiating little activity, initiating sharing of feelings, probably sometimes a little dose of medication, solid reassurance from doctors, very rational reassurance. Slowly helps the family to start connecting. Also connectedness, in spite of the oxygen, हम साथ में बैठ के चाय पीते हैं. Connect, हम साथ में बैठ के शायद करेंगे breakfast, even though 1% oxygen. And physiotherapist coming home and giving hope and optimism. It takes time, but they slowly come out. And then the person who had oxygen slowly started going out of the house. So धीरे से बाहर जाना, and in small steps, in great exposure, slow this can go down. Sometimes there's solid depression. One person taking care of the family all the time, especially the mother, and I feel fractured, I feel depressed, I feel agitated, I feel like not really getting up, I feel like dying. That's the time you need to see a psychiatrist. Because dawa or dua, counseling and dawa, psychotherapy and dawa, आपको इसमें से बाहर आता है. मैं listless, victimhood, आता माला मुझे देख के कोई उनको पता ही नहीं चलता मुझे क्या हुआ. आई फील लॉस्ट. मेरी तकलीफ कोई समझ नहीं सकता है. नहीं यार, ये तकलीफ आपकी वजह से नहीं है, ये तकलीफ कोविड की वजह से, ये तकलीफ आप कमजोर है ऐसा नहीं है. ये तकलीफ आता है क्यों? क्योंकि it's because of the virus. So anybody can be in the state. My dear friend who's asked me a question, and please immediately start talking to a psychologist to see whether the memories are disturbing, to see whether your sleep is bad. And if she says that you need also a psychiatrist, get going and move fast. In this disaster, you need more medical help, as much more than other small disasters like Latur earthquake or Kandla cyclone. It's a massive pandemic. Lakhs of people have died. Thank you for that question.
Yes, sir. So there's one more question. A teacher says that she often feels guilty to take breaks. She feels morally obligated to attend to students' needs on priority basis. So, but it's important to also take breaks. So what to do about the guilt?
Well.
I request people to please mute themselves.
Anisha, please. Anisha, you're disturbing. Can you put your mic on? Yes, good question, Kathy. Micro breaks, micro pranayam. बहुत बड़ा planning मत करो. Anisha, when put on. Thank you, Anisha. So sometimes micro breaks. Me as a doctor, we all face this. यहाँ से आत्महत्या का कॉल, वहां से वायलेंस का कॉल. माइक्रो ब्रेक्स यानी 5 मिनट का प्राणायाम. माइक्रो ब्रेक्स से नीचे 5 मिनट जाके टहल के आना. माइक्रो ब्रेक्स यानी आपके यहाँ झाड़ है तो झाड़ के नीचे 1 घंटा पुस्तक लेके बैठ के आना. माइक्रो ब्रेक्स यानी कॉफी शॉप में अकेले जाके कॉफी पीना. माइक्रो ब्रेक्स यानी पैर ऊपर रख के चाय पीना. कोई किसी की आवश्यकता नहीं. माइक्रो ब्रेक्स यानी छोटा सा 15 मिनट वॉकिंग करना या स्पॉट जॉगिंग करना. माइक्रो ब्रेक, स्टील टाइम, माइक्रो जॉयस.
Right, sir. Yes.
Micro joys. So when you add those joys, it increases. So at times, also second strategy is delegate. पूरा स्कूल का पूरा दुनिया को अपने हरकुलिस जैसे ये जो शोल्डर पे मत लेना. टीम बनाना, टोली बनाना, टोली. That is a मत. In टोली there can be जुगाड़. हॉकी में अलग अलग प्लेयर्स होते हैं, अलग अलग काम रहता है. सो सभी को छोटे छोटे काम करना देना. आप भी थोड़ा रिस्पॉन्सिबल लेना, पर ये मत समझना कि यू हैव टू माइक्रो मैनेज एवरीथिंग एंड यू आर द पर्सन हु इज सपोज्ड टू आंसर ऑल क्वेश्चंस. सो मेक अ टीम and that's very important. Emergency response team in a school is a good idea.
Right, sir. So there's one more question further to what you had mentioned about, it's important that the student's well-being is safeguarded. So it's okay to, if he doesn't meet deadlines or if he doesn't, is not able to. But then
I'll tell you.
So the teacher actually is asking how to identify whether the person is genuinely feeling so or he is taking undue advantage of that situation and avoiding assignments.
I am with you, teacher. Agree. My son killed my grandfather thrice years ago when he did not want to sign this. I still remember when I went to the school, they said, teacher से सब कुछ अच्छा है ना? बोला कुछ सब ठीक है. नहीं we offer a condolence. मैं बोला क्या हुआ? कुछ नहीं हुआ. बोला सब जिंदा है और मेरा बेटे को मैंने डांटा, ऐसा करना नहीं. And so, my dear friends, what is important, my dear teacher, good question, all good questions that give the benefit of doubt for the child. Number one. Number two, have a screening instrument from a psychologist, how to screen kids who are at high risk. And I'll tell you that, even if your school has no psychologist, बिना शर्म से आपके एरिया में 8-10 स्कूल होगा, एक तो स्कूल होगा चैंपियन स्कूल, जिसके पास 4-5 साइकोलॉजिस्ट है. Principals should do Brahman. They should not sit in their schools. They should go out and meet other principals and form a team. And don't wait for other principals to come to your school. कुछ नहीं यार, पहुंच जाना. मैं चाय पीने आया. क्यों आप चाय पीने आप क्यों आए? अरे यार हम 7-8 प्रिंसिपल इस मोहल्ले का. Let us join hands and help all the children. When all principals join hands and help the children of all schools, there is multiple impact. मेरा स्कूल महान. कोविड में कोई महान नहीं यार. हम जब साथ चलेंगे तो बच्चों की देखभाल अच्छी तरह नहीं। अब हम तो ICSE स्कूल है क्या? हम सोचे NABH एक्रेडिशन A+ है। और क्या एक्रेडिशन यार, छोड़ो सब डॉक्यूमेंटेशन। अच्छा है एक्रेडिशन है तो, पर क्या है, अपने AC कैबिन से निकलो, भ्रमण करो। गांधी जी ने 2 बार किया था भ्रमण पूरे देश का, टू अंडरस्टैंड इंडिया। आप प्रिंसिपल मोहल्ला का करो करो भ्रमण, सब स्कूल के प्रिंसिपल्स को इकट्ठा करो, बातें करो, ताकि सभी बच्चों का फायदा हो। भ्रमण से देश को आजादी मिली, भ्रमण से बच्चों का स्वास्थ्य और शिक्षकों का स्वास्थ्य अच्छा होगा। एंड दैट इज आई थिंक वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट।
Right, sir. Sir, there's one teacher again, a lady, she asks that this may be easier for men to figure, but for us, while managing home at the same time, college work, how do we strike a balance?
वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन। आज ही मैंने कहा, वो मेरा फेमस है सेंटेंस सभी महिला शिक्षकों को, अपने त्याग के घोड़े से उतर जाओ, अपने जिंदगी की मोमबत्ती दोनों बाजू से मत जलाओ। मैं अच्छी बीबी भी हूं, अच्छी मां भी हूं, अच्छी पत्नी भी हूं, अच्छी बहू भी हूं, नहीं यार। An imperfect kitchen is a happy home. An imperfect home is a happy marriage. An imperfect wife is a happy family. सब कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है। अरे वक्त आया है हिंदुस्तान में माताओं को ऊपर तक रखा है ताकि उनका हाथ भी थाली पे नहीं आए। अच्छा खाना पुरुष खाता था, औरत अपनी आज भी अपने हस्बैंड के प्लेट में वो पनीर फेंकती है। बंद करो ये बकवास। मुझे निरूपा रॉय नहीं चाहिए, ललिता पवार भी नहीं चाहिए, मुझे नॉर्मल मम्मी चाहिए जो 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 सही अच्छा खाते हैं, अच्छा खाते हैं, जो अच्छा सोते हैं और पति के इंतजार न करते खुद का खाना खा के सोते हैं और पति के लिए खाना अलग रखते हैं। त्याग के, वी डोंट वांट मार्टियर्स, हुतात्मा नहीं चाहिए, वी वांट मैनेजर्स। और मुझे आज भी याद है, जब मैं कहा 2 साल पहले एक शिक्षकों को, तो एक शिक्षक बोली आफ्टर 2 years 2 months, ऐसा नहीं होता है सर। मैंने हस्बैंड को कहा खाना बनाओ, हस्बैंड और 2 बच्चे सब खाना बनाने लगे, सब लफड़ा हो गया, पसारा कर दिया। मैंने वो तो क्या हुआ पसारा किया तो, मुझे नहीं अच्छा लगता, मुझे साफ किचन अच्छा लगता। अ परफेक्ट मदर इज एन अनहैप्पी मदर। परफेक्शन इन वर्क, कंसिस्टेंसी एट होम इज इनफ। तो मैंने कहा पसारा किया तो क्या हो गया, कम से कम आया तो से, किचन इज द मोस्ट रोमांटिक प्लेस इन द हाउस। ये समझ के एक ही वाक्य करूंगा, मानता हूँ बैलेंस करना डिफिकल्ट है पर कभी कभी स्ट्राइक पे जाना नहीं, खाना बनाने का मूड नहीं है, ब्रेकफास्ट का मूड है, चाय पाव खाएंगे, केला पाव खाएंगे, बाहर से मंगाएंगे सब साथ में। इट्स नॉट दैट men don't want to help. Women say that they don't help, and when they help they say this is not the help I want. कितना वो 5000 सालों से वो मन के अंदर वो सॉफ्टवेयर इतना स्ट्रांग है, टूटता ही नहीं है। When the wife or the mother is criticized, that means she's happy. When she's praised by everybody, she is not happy.
So perfection is a myth and it's okay to sometimes wind down.
Be imperfect.
Yes. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your time. It was thoroughly an honor to listen to you, sir, as you shared your personal insights into how to manage and how to take care of your own selves before you get ahead and serve students at college and school levels. Thank you so much.
I genuinely thank Honorable Vice Chancellor for inaugurating this show. I thank my very dear friend for long. We have been student activists for a very long time, Deepak and me. And I'm very happy that he started this organization. Khyati, for all the good work you do along with Deepak and everybody else.
Thank you.
Dr. Swati and Dr. Rajendra opened the cameras. I'll just say hi to them. Thank you.
I would like to very quickly invite Dr. Rajendra Patil, sir, to propose a vote of thanks.
Unmute karo. Unmute kara Rajendra.
Yes, sir. It is always the feast, sir, to hear you. And and a kind of booster that we get through your talks whenever we hear. So myself, Dr. Rajendra Patil, faculty from Information Technology subject. So on behalf of all the teachers and researchers, I'm feeling privileged and honored to propose the vote of thanks. Dear friends, a teacher needs to meet the standards of the curriculum while enhancing the students' creativity and motivating them. As a teacher, we need to ensure a safe climate in their classrooms and maintain the relationships with students, parents, and staff. However, the question of how to embed the new changes which are now upcoming with the help of technology without posing a threat to the human values, so that remains unresolved. So it is important to prioritize and commit to taking care of our mental health and well-being. So with this context, our today's speaker, Dr. Harish Shetty sir, a renowned psychiatrist, has rightly shedded the light on all these parameters. I have a take home from this session, like content and context are relevant for innovation. So I would like to also propose the vote of thanks, the special thanks to our mentor, Honorable Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhiji. Special thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Suhas Pednekar sir, Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, for gracing the occasion. Dr. Harish Shetty sir for mesmerizing us with his lively talk on teacher is the sun in the galaxy of learning. His presentation has really, his talk has really energized everyone and also shedded the light, as I mentioned. Special thanks to the founder of Academistan, Sri Deepak Mukadamji, for envisioning the concept. Thanks to all the participants from STEM academics, industry, and research. Special thanks to Professor Khyati Sampat for anchoring the event. And thanks to all the organizing members for their technical support and digital publicity. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good day. Have a nice weekend. Thank you.